Hi guys, welcome back to We Should Talk, a pop culture interview series from In the Know. I'm your host, Gibson Johns, and this week on the podcast, we have the one, the only, Lisa Vanderpump. Whether you love her, or you hate her, or you're somewhere in between, Lisa Vanderpump is clearly an icon of reality TV, whether you like it or not. And, you know, she was on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills for a very long time. She was been on Vanderpump Rules for a long time, and that show is continuing. She recently premiered Overserved with Lisa Vanderpump on E! And her newest venture, Vanderpump Dogs, which centers on her dog shelter in West Hollywood by the same name, premieres on Peacock on June 9th. It's really a lighthearted, half-an-hour show that really centers on Lisa's love of dogs and matching adoptive dogs to forever homes. And to me, you really can't find fault in that. Again, I know that the Beverly Hills fandom is one of the most divided in reality TV fandoms out there. You know, her final season was really divisive, and it really kind of got people really heated, and people are still very heated about Lisa. But I wanted to talk to her about the show, and Lisa is a huge pro. So anytime I tried to veer the conversation off of Vanderpump Dogs, which was what she was promoting for this interview, she steered it right back to the shelter, right back to the dogs. And again, she's a pro. I don't blame her. I did ask about her life post Housewives and filming Vanderpump Rules. So we did get some good little information there. You know, she said that there's still a bunch of drama still happening on Vanderpump Rules. She said that people did not waste any time. We kind of talked about how we expected the pandemic to sort of like create for sort of a slow roll on the show for filming, but she said that's not the case. Like, people have really had some stuff that on their mind. So definitely listen for those answers, because I think that makes this interview very much worthwhile. But again, don't expect too much, because she definitely steered the conversation back to where it was quote unquote supposed to be. But I was happy to get 20 minutes with her. She was very gracious with her time. And, you know, whether you like her or not, again, like, her dog advocacy is really noble and really amazing. As somebody whose family has 4 dogs, I love what she's doing, regardless of what, you know, she did on Beverly Hills and whether you liked it or you didn't. Anyway, keep listening for my interview with Lisa Vanderpump. Stream Vanderpump Dogs on Peacock starting on June 9th. And please rate, review, and subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so we're here with Lisa Vanderpump, star of the upcoming Peacock show, Vanderpump Dogs. Lisa, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm excited to get to talk to you. I don't think I've ever interviewed you, but I do remember the first time that I ever saw you, you were going to a Build interview, which is a former AOL Build series back in the day. And I was so excited for your interview, and I was so surprised because our desks were right by the studio, and you showed up completely on your own. No glam squad, no posse. It was just Lisa Vanderpump showing up, and I loved that. I thought that was so refreshing.
And you know what? I'm still just on my own. Look around me. The only people that are around me are 2 dogs behind me.
Naturally.
I like to keep it simple. I always say I am my people. I've never understood all the nonsense of, you know, hairdressers and makeup artists and stylists. Of course, if you're doing a big shoot or something like that.
Totally.
But my life isn't about that. You know, I've managed on my own through being in the restaurant business. I still got it now. I
love it. So I watched the first episode of Vanderpump Dogs, and to me, after having watched you for so many years on TV, it is such it's clearly just such a celebration of one of your probably primary passions in life, which is just dogs. And we've all known that. People who have watched you on TV, we know that dogs are something that to your core, it really kind of, this is something that you are all about. And I'm curious if when you opened Vanderpump Dogs back in 2016, I believe, was this always something that you sort of had in the back of your mind? Like, oh, like we could probably turn this into some sort of show that could, you know, both celebrate the people that worked there, but also help dogs get adopted?
I can't say never, because I don't remember exactly when it hit me. But I first started getting involved, you know, my dog advocacy was when I saw the horrors of Yulin.
Right.
And that was prior to us being, you know, involved domestically. I saw the horrors of Yulin, and I said to Ken, we've got to do something. At that time, we were in a for-profit business of doing little dog collars and things for fun, because Jiggy had always been the little dressed up man. And suddenly our focus changed. So we started to fight the Yulin. And John Sessa went to China, and then we opened a dog sanctuary there just from pulling dogs off the meat truck that were going to be tortured. So then we thought, okay, maybe if we could start a different kind of model here where it really had this feel-good factor, the rescue. So you weren't walking into a rescue center where dogs were ever in danger of being euthanized. They were, there like in little living rooms. We literally there was a reason that we put in velvet couches, chandeliers, and jazz music playing, because we wanted people to come in, even if they just wanted to play with the dogs, to interact with the dogs, to have the dogs on their laps. We're one of the only people that actually birth puppies as well, because most people, they have to euthanize pregnant mothers. And we don't do that because most rescues, they can't spend 8 weeks. Whereas we actually have an off-site nursery where they go with John Sessa, who works behind. He actually co-produces the show, but his works behind the scenes mainly in this. And we just, have such a love for dogs and such a passion for dogs. So when we kind of first opened the doors, I said to them, I remember the opening speech, everything about this is so wrong, but yet it feels so right. It was such a different kind of model for rescue.
Yeah,
and it's been very successful. And then we have all of the beautiful merchandise in there, the T-shirts, the leads, the collars and everything, which we started as a business, but all of the profits from that side go to support the shelter.
Perfect.
So we encourage people to shop and everything. But it's just a beautiful, beautiful place. And the dogs are happy there, but they still want their forever home. That's the premise of the show. Trying to find these dogs, the perfect person, and trying to find, the perfect dog for the person that comes through the door. Yeah. And we're very stringent, our rules of, doing background checks, home checks, so to speak, and seeing where the home is that they're going to, and matching the right dog with the right person. And, a lot of this show is poignant. Some of it's sad when you see some of the dogs, the stories of where they've come from and how they've been abused or whatever, or neglected. And it's their second chance. And it's just a beautiful thing, and I love doing this show. I just thought it was beautiful.
And I think I can tell how sort of like in your element you are in this setting, because it's just, again, it just like, it comes from your heart, a lot of this. And something that I loved that you guys have included in this show is during the end credits, we get sort of that update about these dogs at their forever homes. And I think that's so encouraging, one, because like, you never know with some of these people who if they just want to come on to be on the show and to have their moment. But these people really are there to find their forever dog and their forever friend. And I just think it's so great that you include that sort of post show. Okay, here's how they're doing, and I think that's a really great touch to the show. Yeah.
We met some lovely people actually during filming. And I have to say, there's nothing I could ever say that could really do justice to the people that work at the center. And so much the work we do internationally, the compassion that people that work for me have. You can't show everything. It's a half an hour show. Yeah. And these shows mainly about the meetings between the dog and the right person. But we do so much all over the world. And, to see Pandora, my daughter, does so much, and John Sessa does so much, and there's a lot to it that goes on with rescue. Yeah. But this show is specifically about the feel-good factor, the poignancy, some of the heartbreak. It's a show that you can watch with kids, and it shines a light on the importance of rescue, and it's a show we're really proud of.
Absolutely. And as somebody whose family has 4 dogs at home, I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing what you're doing. And I'm curious as somebody who's been in advocating for dogs for so long, which dogs are sort of the hardest to place or the hardest to find homes for? Are they the older dogs, or the dogs that have really serious injuries? Like, what are the dogs that you find are the toughest to find homes for?
Well, it's hard for us to take too many big dogs. We do have big dogs. Now, we were very lucky. We have an incredible donor and supporter of our foundation that helped us finance the roof deck on the top So we actually have a big play area, which you see on the show.
I loved that. Yeah, I didn't know that existed.
That was a huge change to us to put that on, because opening the center and keeping it going is very expensive. And, I'm not like, nobody ever gave me anything. I'm a working woman, and it's been a very challenging year trying to keep our restaurants just from, being kind of 110,000 restaurants closed across America. So that's been difficult. But some of the dogs that are hardest, well, I think there's older dogs. I find that very sad.
Yeah.
And we see owner surrenders because they're old. I would encourage everybody to get pet insurance, because sometimes as they get older, things can get expensive with vet bills. But that can be really sad to me. So if we can manage to find a home for an older dog, that's really important. But we can't give up on them just because they're older. I mean, otherwise, what am I going to do with Ken?
Lisa, you haven't skipped a beat, honestly.
I don't care.
You have not skipped a beat. I love it. So Lisa, for you, Vanderpump Dogs on Peacock, which premieres on June 9th, it's the second of your post Housewives shows. We have Overserved with Lisa Vanderpump as well on E, and we are filming Vanderpump Rules right now. And I'm curious for you, when, in the past couple of years, post Housewives, how has your vision for your career, for your life sort of changed? Like, because once you left the show, I'm curious if in that moment you felt differently about what, did you think you were going to be doing this and still have free shows on the air? Or did you think that you were going to step back more? I'm curious how that has changed for you.
I never really know what's coming, but I'm just always excited about, new ventures and things. I mean, Overserved, which has 2 episodes this week. I mean, it's so much fun to do that during COVID. That's on special. Thursday at 9 o'clock on E. It's got Gabriel Iglesias and Cheryl Burke. I think we're showing actually 2 episodes on Thursday, but it's just such a fun show. And I never thought I'd do that, but it was in COVID and we did it very safely. And I love cooking and entertaining. So that was something I've always wanted to do, just the visuals and the beauty. So I always try and speak to my passions about what's authentic. And to have the dog rescue is something that's just absolutely a passion project for all of us. So, to make a show about it makes sense. Housewives, I had to leave. I got to a point where it was too negative for me. And at the time, my brother had just died and I was looking for happiness in my life. And it just wasn't a good time for me at all. And to be kind of the recipient of gang ups again, I just said, okay, I walked away. But I did do 9.5 years. I mean, it was a long time. You put in a lot of time. It wasn't like I was on it for a minute. And Vanderpump Rules has been an incredible kind of vehicle and adventure too. And that keeps going. And even though we've just started filming, a while ago, but already, wow, it just never stops. It really does feel like these people have been locked up as well.
So is that energy coming across for the filming?
Very much so. We're just like probably about a quarter way through filming, and it really is full on. There's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of dynamics, and it's moving very, very quickly, I have to say. I thought maybe they'd be a little sleepier after COVID.
I think a lot of people probably thought that, but that's good to hear, because
they're not. There's a lot of definitely complicated dynamics, and certainly, some things have been festering through COVID that people want to get off their chest. So that's just an amazing show. But for me, I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know where I would be. All I know is I follow my passions. Authenticity is absolutely key. I think you feel that in Vanderpump Rules. You feel it in Overserved. You see us, Pandora and I, do everything together. And as I said, we've got another episode as well with Kim Whitley and Julia White, which is
fun. That sounds fun.
She is so funny, but so naughty. I had the best time.
God. Yeah.
So there was a lot of fun doing that show. And again, now we come to Peacock, shining a light on rescues, very important to us. And there are so many poignant stories. There really are beautiful stories, emotional, it's sometimes a little sad to watch. I have to say some of the things, some of those
Yeah, I'm
moments
sure.
where that fly. Some of the dogs that come into the center have been treated pretty poorly, but it's a show you can definitely watch with your children. And it's just got a huge feel-good factor. But also, I think it's really, it's produced in that fast-paced. It's fun
Absolutely.
to watch.
Yeah, it's a lighter. I think it's a lighter. I mean, obviously, Overserved is light too, but this is really different. It's different fare for you, and I think that, to me, Lisa, you have some of the most fervent, diehard fans in like across the reality TV landscape, and just like people support you in everything that you do so wholeheartedly. And I'm curious, like you must feel like you're like through Overserved, through Vanderpump Dogs, that you're showing everyone, but especially like the people that really, really, really adore you and follow you every move, kind of a deeper look into this other side of you. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we're seeing some things that we got very surface level before, but now we're diving in to these things that are really your passion.
It's funny you say that because when I go to appearances, like when I used to go to rosé signings, it was very important to me, and everybody will speak to this, that I would stay until I saw every single person, even if I was there 6 hours. And I think people relate to me on a very emotional level over so many different things. They'll grab my hand, they'll say, thank you for doing everything that you've done for LGBTQ community. Or, my heart broke when your brother commits suicide and I've lost somebody, or they'll speak to me about adoption, or they'll speak, having adopted my son, or they'll speak to me about marriage, because I've been married for so long, and all my passion. So people really relate to me on many different levels. And I've had the chance to show that over 500 episodes of reality television.
Wow.
It's a lot.
When you put it that way, Lisa, that's a lot. You said the 9 years, but 500 episodes, that's no small feat.
Something like that. It is something like 480,
wow.
Something crazy like that.
You'll get there. You'll get to the 500.
Yeah. And so for me, my supporters, I never like to say fans, because what are they fan of? I'm just a person living my life. But my supporters, I'm incredibly connected to on social media as well. And I just, I've had some difficult times on reality television, and I couldn't have got through it without their support. So maybe that does kind of breed, like some kind of real relationship between you and your fans, and kind of loyalty.
I'm sure. So, I mean, I want to circle back one more to Vanderpump Rules, but you said we're like a fourth of the way through filming, and a lot has changed. I think there's a lot of intrigue around this upcoming season, because not just people leaving and the cast kind of shifting, but also like we've had pregnancies. We just had a really exciting engagement with James and Raquel. Like the I think people that you would probably consider like second children to you, like they're having huge life moments in their lives, and it's obviously different than what we expect from them on the show. But one, I'm curious how it is for you as sort of like, again, a second mother to some of these kids, to watch them go through these big life moments, and then two, how can you kind of tease if the show is going to be different because of that?
Well, it's still intense relationships. Authentic relationships, which will drive story. But of course they are more mature in some ways, but it's still as complicated, and they're still as vocal. And when they've been on reality a long time, they're used to speaking up about their feelings, and so that's what makes the interesting dynamic. And I have to say, a lot of the kids on Vanderpump Rules, they support the rescue center over the years and have a passion for dogs. So I want to thank them all for that, because they're dog lovers. And it's definitely been an interesting experience between doing all these different shows. But I encourage everybody, if you're a dog lover, and if you're not, you'll become one, watch it on Peacock streaming. It's just a beautiful experience,
Yeah, no, I mean, I loved the premiere episode that I watched. And I think, you clearly have a lot of great people also in the Vanderpump Dogs location that are helping you and just as passionate about dogs. And I'm curious if do you feel like an extra sort of connection to the people that work there, the people that are coming in, because there is sort of like that bond about being dog lovers? Is that something that that sort of bond like do you feel that extra bond with people?
I met some lovely people doing this show that came in, and when you're handing over, especially there were a few of the dogs that we adopted out in this show that I wanted so badly to keep myself. I mean, so you're kind of entrusting them, you know, with your baby. But yeah, the people that work there really have a passion and loyalty. And, you know, John Sessa works behind the scenes, and I couldn't do it without him. He helps produce it with me, but does most of the work behind the scenes. But all the people there and the volunteers did just have the love of dog. Yeah. And for the most part, the story is about the people that come in and the dogs that they meet. And you see a little bit of the people working there and my connection to the people. I mean, it's a show that I could do every day of my life.
I'm sure. I very much believe that. Lisa, we have time for one more question, but I just wanted to check in. What is the current pet count at Villa Rosa, and how many dogs do you have right now? How are they all doing?
I've lost quite a few dogs through old age. I lost Pink Dog, suddenly had a heart attack. Jiggy's father died, old age. I lost Pikachu and Lollipop. So I lost and then unfortunately I lost Jiggy in December, which was, I mean, it's devastating, but we didn't expect. Yeah, we tried to keep Jiggy alive for so many years. I gave Jiggy CPR so many times, probably at least 50 times. Yeah, and brought him back. And this time I couldn't bring him back. So right now I've got 5 dogs, which seems like nothing to me, but they're actually, I've got 4 quite big dogs, and Puffy, who's a rescue, little Puffy. I probably am in the market for another dog. As I say, it was very difficult. A couple of dogs I gave away on the show. I was so emotionally invested. I've got 2 ponies, I've got 4 swans, I've got 7 turtles, and I've still got the pot-bellied pig that I'm married to.
I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to do the mental math in my head, but it's a lost cause.
I want more.
But as somebody, my family lost our oldest dog ever at 16 in December as well. And, you know, like when it's time, but they live amazing lives. And I think that's what Vanderpump Dogs is all about, is finding the homes for these dogs and giving them these amazing lives, it's just.
You're right. Also, one of the things that's very important to us is when they're living their lives at Vanderpump Dogs, however long they're there, it's still a good life and they're safe. Yes. That's the most important thing. So when you're coming into Vanderpump Dogs, you're not thinking, oh my God, I've got to take this dog because it's going to be euthanized, because that's not something that happens there whatsoever. So it's definitely got the feel-good factor. But you do see a lot of the guys saying, pick me, pick me,
I'm
pick
sure.
me. And then they're waiting for their day. And then when their day comes, it's really very emotional for everybody.
I'm sure. Yeah. Well, Lisa, it was so fun to talk to you. And I can't wait for everyone else to be able to see Vanderpump Dogs. That really is it's a special project. And I'm so glad you're doing it. Yeah. And, you know, just rescue and adopt, not shop. Because, you know, slowly we're changing the kind of rules of the world. We've, you know, had resolutions passed at Congress. That's what we do. And I'm very, very proud of everybody that works at Vanderpump Dogs and everything they do. As you should be. All right, Lisa, enjoy the rest of the week, and we're looking forward to the premiere. Thanks, darling. Thank you. Bye, Lisa. Thank you so much for listening. For more celebrity interviews, subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you heard, please rate and review us, as any show of support you can give us would be greatly appreciated. You can follow me at Gibsonoma on Twitter and Instagram, and you can follow In The Know at In The Know on Twitter and at Watch In The Know on Instagram. We'll talk to you next time.